All right, let's go back to one other example working in the XY plane. Let's see, we'll use purple this time. How's that? Ooh, that's a little bit too thick. All right. Well, check that. Let's go with blue. Get rid of that. So we'll go with X and Y. And I want us to go back to the 45-degree angle. Now, let's suppose I just draw a line that comes out here at 45 degrees. And what we'll do is, let's go ahead and look at a triangle where we come out here to a point of 2, 2. Maybe we'll zoom in on this just a bit. Okay. And we want to find the trig functions for this. So what we'll do, we'll go ahead and drop these here. So I know my X and my Y values. I know that this is now 45 degrees. Okay, so the side here is 2, positive 2. My R value right there is going to be the square root of 4 plus 4, 2 squared plus 2 squared, x squared plus y squared. It's the square root of 8, simplified 2 root 2. So this length here is 2 root 2. Well, we already know that if we're talking about sine theta, it's going to be the y value of the ordered pair that's sitting along the line that's made the angle divided by r. Well, the y value is 2, positive 2, and the r value is 2 root 2. The 2's cancel. I get 1 over root 2. I can obviously rationalize that. I'm going to get root 2 over 2. Cosine will be no different because it's going to be the x value is the same as the y value. So it's also root 2 over 2. The tangent function is going to be 2 over 2, which is 1. Okay. Now, the interesting thing about this is if I had picked the ordered pair 3, 3, which also happens to be sitting along this line whose rotation created the 45-degree angle, or if I came out here to 4, 4, these ratios are not going to change as long as the point that I'm using is falling along this line which created the 45-degree angle. So this is another picture, class, as to why I tell you that any triangle that has a 45-degree angle, it's going to have these ratios the same. Because obviously as I move out further along this line, I am creating bigger triangles. Right, so, whoa, that's a little thick. But anyway, so basically we've got 3 triangles here. I've got this triangle, and then I get this bigger one, and I have this bigger, all similar triangles, all have 45-degree angles, therefore their 6 trig functions are going to be identical for the 45-degree angle. But here's what the unit circle is. The unit circle is saying, well, you know what, let's, instead of using any of these numbers, let's cut back and let's use 1, 1. In other words, what we'll do is we'll take a radius and sorry, that's incorrect. What we're saying is we're going to take a ray that is 1 in length. So it starts at 1, 0, and I'm going to rotate that. So I'm going to basically create a circle of radius 1. Right, so this is length 1 radius that's rotating all the way around, creating. There's a smiley face. How about that? That wasn't on purpose. But anyway, so we take this radius of length 1 and we rotate it and we make the unit circle. That's what it's all about. So let's go to a unit circle and we'll get rid of the happy face there. Okay. Nope, let's get rid of that. All right, so now we're at our unit circle. So here is And as I mentioned to you before, it's so critical to understand that this is setting on an XY plane. Can't forget that. Where that's our origin over here. This point then, since this is going to be a length 1, this is going to be the point 1, 0. That means then as this length, picture this as being an arrow right here of length 1, as it rotates and comes up here, that's also going to be a length of 1. But this is going to be the ordered pair 0, 1. This is going to be the ordered pair -1, 0. And this is going to be 0, -1. Now we just looked at this right here, the 45-degree angle, right? So this is 45 degrees, which is the same as pi over 4 radians. Okay, and that ordered pair that we have right there is going to be it's going to be determined by the fact that what I have here is I have a right triangle whose hypotenuse is length 1, and we have seen then that the length of this side, in that case, this is our 45-degree angle right here, so there's 45, that the x-coordinate up here, if this is length 1, this is going to be square root of 2 over 2, comma, square root of 2 over 2. That's the ordered pair right there. Okay, and that's because we know that if I take sine of 45 degrees, it's the opposite side, which in this case would be radical 2 over 2, divided by the hypotenuse, which is 1. And so sine of 45 degrees is root 2 over 2. In fact, if we memorize what these ordered pairs are along the unit circle, where these are all length 1, then basically what we can say is, notice here, since this is a 1, we can say that as we go around the unit circle, sine theta is always going to be equal to the y value of the coordinate along the outside of the unit circle. And then the cosine theta is going to be equal to the x value. Because remember, we would be dividing this by r, but r is 1 for all of these points along the outside of the unit circle. And then tangent theta, we can't get around the fact, though, that it still has to be the ratio of opposite y over adjacent x. All right, and so those are how we use this unit circle. That's why next week what we'll be doing is making sure that you know how to not only label the angles as we go around here, but that you can actually label and visualize what each one of these ordered pairs is as you go around. This will be something that you will have to have committed to memory, because we'll need it. You'll need to know that to be successful down the road in some more advanced topics in trigonometry. Okay, so I think what we'll do is we'll end it right there, and now we're going to do a quiz. Now, as far as homework, what I want you to do for next week, I want you to work section 4.3 exercises 1 through 12. And also the Math Excel for 4.2 is going to be due tonight, or excuse me, tomorrow, which is Friday, 12/9. And then I'm going to be posting tomorrow the Math Excel for 4.3. That's going to be due 12/16. Okay, and then I think next week, the end of next week, maybe on 12/16 is when we're going to be doing our test for the semester test. But I'll get that all figured out, and when we meet on Monday, we'll kind of chart out what the last 2 weeks of the semester are going to be like. Okay, sorry to bore you with these videos, class. I hope you all have a great day and a great weekend. If you need anything, send me an email or a message in Schoology. I'll see y'all next week.